Hello, everyone. Welcome to day two of Abracadata. We are very happy to have you here. Please remember to check out our code of conduct and to visit the virtual booths and also scale the leaderboard because we remember that we have 5 ebooks courtesy of Pact for you. Okay. Now we have a very special person. Thank you, Jarek, for being here. Jarek is an independent open source contributor and advisor. He's also a PMC member of Apache Airflow and member of the Apache Software Foundation. Thank you, Jarek, for joining us today. He's gonna present Airflow 3 is all you need. So until then, please remember to add your questions in the Q&A tab and to enjoy the session. Okay. Thank you, Jarek. Welcome.
Thanks, Teza, for the intro, and thanks to the organizer, Software Guru, and the whole team for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to work with Software Guru and present at their conferences, and they also help us to organize Airflow Summit, so we know each other very well. Uh, so I will be talking about Airflow today. I know there were a few other sessions about Airflow. So I'll be focusing more on how we envision Airflow to be used in machine learning and AI processing in general, which is like a hot topic, of course. Um, and I'll tell a little bit more of the experiences of our users that we have already, and what we have done to make it even more fitting the purpose of running machine learning workflows. So that if for those who know the history of AI machine learning, the Airflow tree is all you need. Comes from the very famous paper, the title, and it's the O is with a star, and I will explain a little bit more why the star is there. Okay, so okay, something happened, and let me just switch back. Yes, I'm back. Good. So the what we are talking about, what I'm going to talk about is like how Airflow can be used for AI machine learning workflows, or like how we prepared it for also running machine learning workflows. Few words about myself. Pesa already said a lot. I'm a PMC member and committer in Apache Airflow. That's the main thing that I'm focusing on. Also a member of Apache Software Foundation. In case you don't know, Apache Software Foundation is one of the biggest and the most, the oldest and the biggest and the most influential foundations for open source software. And Airflow is part of the Apache Software Foundation. I'm also a member of the security committee. Security is my another interest I have. And why Airflow now, and what's the context of Airflow? Um, in terms of what we as a PMC, the Project Management Committee, what we prepared, like what we released recently. We very recently released Airflow 3. And last week, we released Airflow 3.0.2, which is like the second backfix release of Airflow 3. And that was like one of the Airflow 3 was one of the biggest releases ever that we worked on. And we worked on it for like 8-9 months, probably, from the beginning to end. And a little bit of explanation of what Airflow is for those who don't know it. And I will tell a little bit more why we decided to work on Airflow 3 in the context of machine learning AI models as well. So Airflow is, I often repeat that metaphor because I was singing in a choir for 30 years, and I know how it is to be in the choir, to do things together with other people and having conductor in front of me. And for people from outside, it looks like the conductor doesn't do much because like the orchestra or choir do all the job, and the conductor just waves the stick, and that's it. And that's pretty much how it looks like from the Airflow point of view. Airflow is this kind of conductor that conducts not the musicians, but conducts all the different kinds of data processing tooling that you can have in your so-called modern data stacks. There are plenty of those, and you can see some of those on the picture, but those are like very, very small part of it. Airflow is in the center of it. It's so-called orchestrator, and what it does, it just tells different pieces of the data processing infrastructure what to do when, and like how to pass the data between the different uh, components or the different toolings. So Airflow is in the center. It appears it doesn't do much, but in fact, without, like, if you imagine orchestra or choir singing without without the conductor, it would be a mess. And that's pretty much the same thing with Airflow. Airflow just makes an order from data processing pipelines. Uh, in essence, what Airflow is just it tells, like, it sets the pipeline, which is the workflow, which is like uh, we use the name directed acyclic graph, which is like a graph of tasks being executed and connections between them. So like Airflow just makes it possible and easy to not to first of all to define the way how you communicate with these different tasks and how they should be one running after the other in the right sequence, and maybe in parallel, maybe sequentially, whatever is needed, and allows you to model that, but also it allows you to execute it and monitor it. And this is the important part. So like you not only define it, but you also have an engine that executes those workflows and execute different parts of the data processing. But also Airflow is able to monitor the execution. And the big value of Airflow is that it allows you to see what's going on with a single view, like monitor and observe your pipelines and be able to like restart part of it or pick into the particular one that failed and see what's going on without with a small team of people that are just monitoring Airflow in, because it doesn't matter how many people you have to write and create those data pipelines, they are written in the same way so that Airflow can actually um, uh, allow these people who are monitoring it to see all the different kinds of tasks and look at their logs and processing in the same way. So that's the big value of Airflow. A little bit more kind of UI screenshots from Airflow 3. It's a beautiful new UI we have. I'll tell a little bit more about that later. But basically, you can see all your workflows, pipelines. You see the like history of execution of those pipelines. You see the status, whether it's failed or not, and all the details. You can just dig into details and like very, very, very quickly find out like this particular thing that failed, why it failed, and what was the reasoning, and maybe diagnose it and remedy it later. Um, Airflow is super versatile. It's super versatile because it's been defined originally as a like kind of traditional ETL pipeline kind of things. So like it's extract, transform, load for those who do not know. But over time, people started to use Airflow for different things like infrastructure pipelines. We've learned that Cloudflare, for example, is using Airflow to set up their infrastructure when it's created, like DNS and other stuff. And also, we've learned that people are using Airflow for training machine learning AI pipelines. Uh, we also, and that wasn't completely like, and Airflow wasn't designed for that, but we figured out, okay, now we would like to be like people already are using Airflow for these machine learning AI pipelines because it's so convenient, so nice to be able to run something in reliable way, in the way how we can monitor it. So while you experiment with like some other kind of tools, which are like like LangChain, whatever machine learning specialized tooling you have for experimenting and running your models, Airflow is really there to be able to run it at scale in production in a way that can be managed by a big company, for example, or by medium-sized company where you really want to manage everything and keep an order in it. Um, so we've also wanted to see what it means for Airflow to be able to run other kinds of workflows like inference flows and agentic workflows. And we think right now uh, what Airflow is versatile enough to be able to run them, but with Airflow 3 we implemented some of the features which I tell about in a moment that made it much easier to run. Some foundational properties of Airflow that are kept there is maintainability, so you can actually maintain your pipelines and evolve them and incrementally change them, etc., etc. All this comes from the way how Airflow defines those and manages those pipelines. Observability is built in, so you can see what's going on. You can pick into that. There is a data lineage integration, open lineage integration, and all the different kinds of observability that you can plug in and observe what's going on with your pipelines. It's scalable, so it can run in a distributed environment, so you can run many, many, many thousands of workflows and tasks. And it has architecture generic enough to be able to adapt to different kinds of data processing. It's enterprise ready. We have great supporting communities. So community is the biggest, the most interesting part of Airflow. Like we have more than 3,000 contributors now, and that's one of the biggest. That's the biggest project in terms of number of contributors in Apache Software Foundation, for example. And the important thing what Airflow provides, and this is like we don't sell Airflow because it's free. It's available for free for everyone. It's an open source project, so we don't sell it. But it's a selling point for Airflow itself that we are vendor neutral. So we are not tied to a particular vendor, and you can use it on premises. There are a number of Airflow as a service services with different providers, and you're not tied to any particular vendor when you choose Airflow. And Airflow also is a platform, which means that we have APIs and you can extend Airflow in the way how you want. So like Airflow is this kind of engine that runs stuff, but then you can build a lot of stuff on top of it, querying the status of things, looking and things over API, plugging into the APIs, and so on and so on. So Airflow is really extensible. What Airflow is not. So if you look for a kind of end-to-end machine learning complete solution, and you will not. It's Airflow is not like ready machine learning AI specialized solution to run all your things. You have to adapt Airflow to your workflows and to your ways of using AI and ML, which is actually quite cool because there is not a single way that you can run all your machine learning workflows, and you can adapt them and plug it into your all kinds of processing. Airflow is also not a specialized AI ML kind of tool like LangChain. You cannot run it locally to like experiment with your machine learning workflows, but it's not the purpose of Airflow. Airflow is purpose is really to be kind of reliable, flexible, enterprise ready glue between the kind of needs of the company, which is like on the higher level, or like I want to run all my machine learning workflows, and then those are those specialized tools that you need at the bottom that you run. And Airflow is a kind of glue that makes it possible to run it in a reliable, enterprise-ready way. So that's the purpose of Airflow. It sits somewhere in between the kind of high-level needs and low-level machine learning, AI, and all other kinds of tooling. Now, some real use cases. I'll be talking. So a little bit of shameless plug. We have a Airflow Summit in October 7, 9 in Seattle, and we have in person. So like we are all invited to come if you want to learn more about Airflow and Airflow 3 particularly. Mm, but what we have is like we already have a number of talks, some of them not yet even announced because we are just about to approve some of those, but they are telling some of the actual use cases that people are already using Airflow with, like building MLOps. It will show how versatile Airflow is because it shows like how different ways you can use Airflow for all kinds of different workflows and pipelines that you might want to have. So like one of the titles, building MLOps platform for 300 specialists on top of Airflow, orchestrating travel insights. That's a kind of actual business case. So price lines, operation ML, operational, operating ML pipelines with Airflow for travel insights. Integrating Apache Airflow and Airbyte for AI-powered retail insights. So like this business needs specialized retail kind of processing, and we use Airflow as this glue to map their actual use case into the execution of those machine learning stuff, which is below. Uh, Airflow has an AI agent toolkit, unlocking thousands integrations with MCP. Of course, you can connect agents in MCP to Airflow and make them part of the whole workflow. And MCP is the older age recently. Automating healthcare triad with Airflow and large language models. So you can connect large language models directly to your workflows in a very seamless way. How Airflow runs the weather. Can predict weather with Airflow. AI-powered web security, protecting applications from emerging threats. This is all possible. LLMOps with Airflow and the Airflow AI SDK. So Airflow as a platform allows other companies, for example, in this case, Astronomer, they have the Airflow AI SDK that allows you to very easily plug in into different kinds of machine learning LLMs and different kinds of AI engines. And the last one, like running Airflow on your coffee machine. Traditionally, Airflow was more kind of heavy. Right now, it's with the changes that we've done, it's really easy and possible. And we have some of our PMC members running Airflow on very small devices, like the tasks and execution on very small devices like Raspberry Pi or the coffee machine. Few things about Airflow, what it is. For those who do not know, you can alter the DAGs and you can just define the DAGs very easily. You can define tasks and links between tasks. So in this case, you can see like there are two tasks on the left side. You can set a downstream task for one task or upstream task, or connect them with different like dependencies in different ways. So that's the basic building blocks of how you build Airflow DAG, which is this workflow. And then you define the workflow. You can have it scheduled. You can have it scheduled on different things. I'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah, and then you can have define those different tasks in like Pythonic way. Define them not only as a kind of boxes that you execute like operators, but also as a pieces of Python code that are get executed as your tasks. Very That's very very quickly like how it looks like in Airflow, in Airflow 3 especially. In Airflow 3, what we've done, especially to make it easier for those machine learning, we converted data sets that we used to have into assets. Assets are those more of a abstraction of whatever data is there, including machine learning models, for example. And the nice thing about Airflow 3, you can just schedule an asset. So like whenever like S3 file changes, for example, or a model changes, it triggers the workflow automatically. That's the external event scheduling. This is like one of the new features that we've added to make things actually work better for machine learning kind of workflows and for all kinds of data pipelines. We have modern UI, which is like it was designed from this. I will just go quickly through it without going into details, but it was designed to make your work on monitoring and looking at your data pipelines much easier and much more like drive you by hand. Also, almost like less clicks to get to the right thing, and much easier to see when things are failing or need some attention. In Airflow 3, we have those DAG bundles, which is the kind of the way how you can organize your workflows in groups where they have a little bit different characteristics and they can be treated separately, which is like nice thing. But the big feature of Airflow 3 is the DAG versioning, which means that you can experiment with your workflows and like not incrementally change them, and Airflow will keep track of the changes. Which was like a missing feature, and that's very important for kind of flexible machine learning workflows that you want to have. Mm. So you can see like this; those are two different versions of the same DAG with different tasks, and that's really nicely works. You can also use the UI to trigger and to manage the backfills, which means that historical data you can refill with Airflow from the past, which is very useful if you want to reprocess the data, like retrain the models and stuff like that. The architecture that we have is now much more secure and enterprise ready in terms of Airflow 2 before you access the database directly. Right now, it's not happening. Like the components of Airflow are separated with the API server, which is between, and it's like super secure. You have a very specific Python SDK that you can execute your tasks with. And also the important thing, and that's also useful for machine learning AI kind of workflows, we have Python SDK now, but we are working on Golang and a few other languages. You'll be able to run your tasks in a native way. And then finally, last one thing, and this is what the coffee machine kind of things is, you can separate the execution of Airflow tasks from the actual scheduling, so they can be scheduled in one place and executed in many different like locations, edge, like this coffee machine or testing device or whatever you want to do. You want to run your machine learning and different kinds of processing on, and they can be separated hardware networking point of view, and they can be like completely separate. They have completely separate boundaries. More support for support for more programming languages is coming. Asset partitioning, that's another interesting feature that we have in development. Human in the loop we already implement now in Airflow 3.1. And that's basically it. I wanted to leave some time for questions if we have them. But I wanted to also tell you that this Airflow Summit is coming in Seattle, October 7th, 9th, and you can register and get a early discount before June 30. So if you want to learn more about Airflow, because like I just just breezed through all these kind of new features and what Airflow 3 is. A lot more details will be there at the Airflow Summit. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Jarek. Okay, let me see. We do not have questions, but this recording will be available on Airmeet. So if you have any questions, we can keep the discussion on LinkedIn, and you can also reach out directly to Jarek. Where, Jarek? LinkedIn, Slack, where are you?
LinkedIn, Slack of Airflow is probably the best way.
Okay,
So on Airflow page, you will find the link how to register and on the Slack, and it's so easy to ask questions. There are different channels, and quite often I'm responding.
awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, do you want to mention something else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you guys for being here. Remember to keep active the chat. Remember to register for Airflow Summit. We will see you in Seattle. Thank you very much, Jarek.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.